Now, staying on that theme, the First World War has inspired many political and cultural commemorations recently, but my next guest has created something a little unusual. Symphony to a Lost Generation is the world's first fully holographic dramatic work, with 400 cast members appearing, all as holograms, in a fusion of dance, drama and symphonic music. The show's director is Adam Donen, who is here today. Adam, even saying it is sort of quite hard. It sounds like such a huge effort. How long has it taken you to put this show together?
It took 3 years all in, which was first, of course, the writing of the symphony and the script, and then building, if you like, building the technology, testing what worked and what didn't, because, of course, nobody's ever made a holographic dramatic work before. And so, from the start, we had a wonderful team of Oscar and Grammy winning visual effects artists and sound producers, but everything, we were figuring it out as we went along, necessarily, and it was a wonderful 3-year process.
It's a 3-year process. People know holographic performances, Tupac, Michael Jackson, musical artists, one-off shows. This was something bigger, so you had to, I assume, bring the various cast members together, then film them, and then work out how it was going to piece together. Was that it?
No, well, to some extent. We had a wonderful green screen studio up in Kilburn, and we would shoot each scene separately, and either before or afterwards we would already have built many of the visual effects elements that went into it. So, for example, in, say, the scene where Ernesto Tomasini suffers a gas attack, an Austrian soldier, 1917, in that scene we had worked extensively on the creating of the gas, which appears to be filling the stage, but which in actuality is, of course, a visual effect. And then afterwards we would film him, and he would appear within the gas.
I'm pleased you mentioned that. Let's see that in action now. It will be hard for, I think, some viewers to realise that isn't actually a man on stage, but a hologram. So you were saying you created this effect and then filmed him, so he had that to interact with.
When he was being filmed, he had absolutely nothing. He had the poor man had a series of marks and an expression of where he needed to be doing what. And the rehearsals necessarily for every single performer were intense. The difficulty is, of course, that exactly each of the actors, each of the performers, had to work physically with absolutely nothing and had to trust in the assurance of their director that there would be a world around them.
We often think, when we hear the story of the First World War, we hear about the British soldiers here, the Allied forces. You obviously were keen to tell the story from both sides.
I was keen to tell the story from every side, but particularly from the side of the soldiers, by which I don't mean the British soldiers or the German soldiers. I mean simply the universality of the experience, and particularly when, in a period which is when this was getting started, when journalist politicians, as they were then, like Gove and Johnson, were busy writing about the First World War as a uniquely British experience where we were the great victors. I wanted to show the suffering of all of those who fought from every side, which means that dramatically and necessarily the work does switch from country to country, from place to place, as a series of vignettes, from the very small to very, very large, wide-scale scenes with hundreds going over the top.
Let's see some of those hundreds. Tell us about putting this scene together. And it's got the haunting image of the figures appearing quite ghostly.
Yes, very much so. So this scene takes place at night as soldiers go over the top into the Somme at the end of the second movement of the work. And the soldiers were shot with physical sandbags which were built in the studio, and they would have to run towards camera in different configurations, while at the same time, completely separately, a sunset was built for them to, if you like, run out from.
Is he shot? Just finally, you've done this now. Have you got ambitions to take this holographic concept to other ideas, other big stage productions?
Short answer is yes. The marginally longer answer is My wonderful producer Daniel Reynolds and I are having some very wonderful conversations about exactly what might be able to come after this, about which I hope to be able to talk to you very soon.
You must come back and tell us. Adam Donen, thank you very much indeed. And if you want to go and see that, it's called Symphony to a Lost Generation. It's on at the Royal Majestic Banqueting Suite on Willesden Lane from the 8th to the 11th of July next week. 400 holograms. Look absolutely extraordinary. Sadly, that's all we've got time for on London Go today, but stay where you are, because coming up next, it's London Live News with Rhea El Salahi. We'll leave you some of your art, the pictures you've been sending us on Instagram. Enjoy that and have a great weekend.